Hey guys, the new character Shizuru is gonna drop in a few hours after uploading this video. So we're gonna go and check how good will her performance be by looking at her kit one more time and comparing her kit to our other good main DPS characters. If you just want a TLDR, if you are like, oh bro, just tell me real quick what the deal with Chizuru is so I can move, don't worry, I got you covered. And that is very easy and simple to tell because Chizuru already exists in this game. It is the character Rin. They took Rin and they warped Rin from a main DPS character into a sub DPS character, and the result of that is Chizuru. So if we are talking about power level and where Chizuru would stand in the meta, she will be around the same power level as the character Rin. Now that is not a fantastic spot to be in. You do not want to be on that kind of power level when it comes to you just releasing as a new character, because look, the meta is not about Rin. No one is talking about Rin whatsoever. She is kind of irrelevant if we talk about like top-notch characters in this game. We are talking about Veronica, Hugo, Malin, Tressa, Mika and stuff, right? No one is talking about Rin, even to some extent Haru and Karen. But Rin is completely irrelevant and never the vocal point because she's just not on the level of all of the other characters that I just mentioned. And so Shizuru won't be on that kind of level either. Additionally, you would have to have two copies, two dupes for Chizuru, so that would make her quite a heavy investment and a little bit expensive, so keep that in mind as well. And that's about the TLDR when it comes to the character Chizuru. Now let's move into a little bit of an analysis. The characters we have to compare Chizuru with are Luke, Tressa and Rin. You can play Chizuru together with Luke and Tressa though, so the best possible comparison, as I already mentioned, is the character Rin. Let's go ahead and see how they fare against each other. The quote-unquote analysis is very easy and straightforward, so we're not gonna be here for long. Now, of course, if to do this properly, you would need to compare every single card of Chizuru to every single card of Rin. But since they are so similar and the differences are so minor that it's actually shameless, I'm gonna be honest. And so sitting here and going over every single card together with you guys is a little bit of time waste. I will just tell you the result as I already did this. Now if you compare these two kits, you will realize one thing, and that is that if you look at Chizuru's kit, then yeah, her numbers are lower compared to Rin's numbers, but you hit a little bit more often compared to Rin. So what this will boil down to in the end, Rin is gonna be a little bit better than Chizuru when like against enemies that you don't have the attribute advantage over. But Chizuru, thanks to her hitting more often and therefore having higher multipliers when it comes to the attribute advantage extra damage that you deal, Chizuru is gonna be a little bit better than Rin if you face enemies where you have the attribute advantage. Let me show you a few examples when it comes to number comparison and how many hits we get out, etc. You can see this here. Karmic Flames from Chizuru versus Drawing Slash from Rin. You can see Rin does 120% damage with this ability, while Chizuru only does 100% damage. And Rin does more damage for less AP in this kind of scenario here as well. The additional effects are both giving the characters what they actually need. Or looking at the basic cards from both characters now. Moonslash deals 60% fixed damage twice to an enemy with Chizuru. This is in her kit twice. While Rin has two different basic cards that have a much higher number, but they only hit once. And this is what I was talking about when I meant that Chizuru will deal more damage if you have the attribute advantage, and Rin will deal a little bit more damage when you don't have the attribute advantage. That is because, see, when you attack twice with Moonslash, that will equal to 100 20% fixed damage. You would now say, hey, wait a minute, Straw, that is more than 102% damage with Rin's ability that also costs 1 AP. That is not entirely true. Because if you hit twice, of course it depends a little bit on the enemy, right? It depends on how high the enemy's defense is, because if you attack twice, you trigger the enemy defense twice. That means you reduce your number, the 60%, twice. That is a higher damage reduction than if you would only attack once with the ability from Rin. Rin's number only gets reduced once by the defense of the enemy, while Moonslash, the ability for Chizuru, would get a damage reduction twice because you hit the enemy defense twice, right? Makes sense there. That's why I was telling you that if you don't have the attribute advantage, Rin is gonna deal a tiny little bit more damage than Shizuru, and it's gonna go the other way around here as well. Here is another good example that you can see. With Rin, yeah, you gain the ability to add a hit, you gain the ability to increase your damage count by +1. But with Shizuru's Oni Hunt, you just straight up attack 3 times, right? And yeah, the same logic applies here as it was with the basic cards, so that's gonna be about that. Okay, who's the better character? Is Shizuru better than Rin, or is Rin better than Chizuru? And I would give the advantage here to Chizuru and say she is the better character, because look, both of them excel at the exact same things, which is busting out a lot of attack cards for a very low amount of AP cost, if not even for 0 AP cost. Getting a high frequency of attacks out, ravaging the enemy really quickly, and profiting a lot from attribute advantage thanks to the high frequency of attacks they bust out. And Shizuru is just gonna make this, like, profit from all of these advantages in a better and more effective way than Rin would, because she attacks more and therefore she makes more use of the Predator's Blade from Ray, making more use out of the morale boost from Ray, right? All that kind of stuff. So everything that these characters excel at, Shizuru excels a little bit better at all of these things. And she's also a little bit more versatile and more convenient when it comes to synergy with other characters. As I already said in my previous video, you should play Shizuru together with Nia and Ray. That would be the most optimal way to go. But in case you don't have Nia, for example, then you could also use characters like Cassius or maybe even Tressa. So when it comes to team building and synergies and profiting from what they excel at, Shizuru is, yeah, pretty significantly better there, let me say, than Rin. But it's also not something that you should like completely overestimate. They are about the same power level. I would say, in my opinion, Shizuru is, yeah, the better Ray. How much better she truly is remains to be seen, but I think it will, yeah, matter a little bit. We will see. Will she have more viability than like a Haru or Karen, right? Where she will be exactly stand, that we will see after we tested her out a little bit and accomplished a viable save data there. Now onto the most burning question of them all. Should you pull for Shizuru or not? There of course are circumstances that should or should not be fulfilled. For example, you should not already have the character Rin fully maxed out. If you have the character Rin fully maxed out, then Shizuru would just be a complete waste of your resources. A similar scenario occurs if you already have the character Karen fully maxed out. You simply do have absolutely no need to pull for Shizuru, and she would be a waste of your resources. Now, if you do not have access to Rin or Karen, then Shizuru is actually a viable pull, and I would even recommend you to pull for her. But again, do not have Rin, and do not have Karen. Then Shizuru is a pretty good character, and I would advise you to pull for her. You have to keep one thing in mind though, and that is the most crucial point of them all. That is, if you pull for Chizuru, you need 2 dupes. If you do not go for 2 dupes for whatever reason, it might be too expensive, you already wasted your pull resources, you do not have enough left, it would be too expensive, you know, whatever the reason might be. If you do not go for 2 dupes, then don't pull for Chizuru, right? But then again, if that is okay, if you can go for 2 dupes, no problem. Remember the new item in the new shop, by the way, that gives you a free dupe, right? Not really a free dupe, because you could use that item onto another character as well. So it's not necessarily free, but you get the point. You can obtain yourself 1 dupe from the shop if you grind the Chaos Manifestation or the Seasonal Planet. You know, you get the point. So you would only really need to pull for 1 dupe then, right? That is a little bit of a workaround here, but that's up to you. So let me tell you all of this one more time. You should pull for Chizuru if you are fine with going for 2 dupes and you don't already have the characters Rin and Karen fully maxed out. If all of these scenarios are occurring to you, right? You don't have Rin, you don't have Karen, you saved up enough for you to be able to pull for 2 dupes for Chizuru, then she is a super viable character right then and there. And that's about the video, guys. Once the maintenance ends, I'm gonna be live streaming this game on twitch.tv, link to my channel in the description down below. Click on it, come in, say hi, and maybe even hang out a little bit. I will of course pull for Chizuru and dupe her twice on one of my accounts, so that's gonna be a whole lot of fun there. If you like Chaos Zero Nightmare content in general, please consider leaving a follow on my channel, I would really appreciate it. But until next time, don't forget to join the Discord server, link to that in the description down below. Take care of yourselves, have a great day, best of luck onto your Chizuru pulls if you pull for her. If you do, then please let me know in the comment section down below how your pulls went. But that's about it, guys. Peace and love.